Welcome to the Dr. Mudgil podcast. This is episode 117. We are in the middle of February here. Very exciting, eventful week here in New York. We had our first major snowfall in a very, very long time. So much so that the schools were closed on Tuesday, and my kids were just so excited about that. They actually found out that schools were closed like early Monday evening, so they were just all psyched up. They could stay up late. My boys gamed into the wee hours like they like to do. To my chagrin, but it's hard to stop them from doing it. And they had their first snow day in a really long time. I for one used to absolutely love the snow, and now I just absolutely hate it because I have a huge parking lot in my office in Long Island, and it cost me a fortune to plow and salt the parking lot and the stairways, and I get charged basically by the inch, and the folks that maintain the parking lot have to come back several times. So I'm I'm really not anticipating seeing the bill for this one, but nonetheless, it was a beautiful day. It was beautiful to see the snow. Our offices were actually open. I'd say probably like 50 or 60% of our patients ventured and came into the office despite the roads being terrible. And we had a fairly busy but very relaxing day in the office. Wasn't very chaotic at all. Valentine's Day was this week. My wife and I celebrated Valentine's Day by working. I was in my New York City office, and my wife was here in our Long Island office. But we regrouped at night, and it was nice. It's Valentine's Day is always a nice day to acknowledge the ones we love, and I'm very grateful to have my wife in my life. We'll be married 20 years this year. So it flies by. And the kids are just kind of wrapping up this week of school, and they're off next week, so we're going to try to sneak away into the sun for a few days, and looking forward to that rest and relaxation. So that's what's going on here in New York. So back to the task at hand. So this podcast is actually inspired by a text exchange I was having with one of my close friends this morning, someone who I respect and admire. And, I thought I'd share some of that with you guys in an effort to hopefully motivate and inspire. This is the time of year where folks, tend to lose some steam with their New Year's resolutions. Things are starting to peter out, and, folks may be hitting a plateau or a brick wall that is frustrating. And that's kind of like the gist of the text conversation I was having with my friend. So he was basically super successful, super motivated, super disciplined guy. And he's been on a fitness journey for several years, as have I, as you know. And he was texting me that, he's hit a plateau, he's frustrated. And, he tracks his data, incredibly meticulously. All sorts of spreadsheets, and his macronutrients are dialed in, and he sent me all this data. So he sent me what his macronutrient breakdown is, how many grams of protein, how many grams of carbs, how many grams of fat he's consuming. He also has meticulous charts of his body mass index, what percentage body fat he is, what percentage of his mass is muscle, etc. This is real detailed stuff. And I was really impressed. Actually, I was somewhat embarrassed that my record keeping doesn't even compare to his. But he's a data guy. He's all about data in his businesses and all the things that he does. And I admire that. I admire that level of attention to detail. I was actually quite impressed by it, to be honest with you. But basically, the gist of the conversation was he's been really trying to work on body recomposition. So basically, trying to reduce his percentage of body fat, increase his percentage of lean muscle mass, and while kind of maintaining the same weight. And it's a hard thing to do, actually. It's something that I've actually learned is a very hard thing to do. But anyways, he hit a plateau. He sent me all this data, and he said, hey, can you just take a look at this and let me know what your thoughts are? To which I said, listen, you probably shouldn't be listening to me. I'm not a fitness expert. I'm not a nutritionist, but I'll take a look and I'll let you know what my thoughts are. I have been doing this a little while, and may have a suggestion or two which you should take with a grain of salt. But I looked through everything, and I gave him a couple of things that have worked for me in the past. He's also going to consult with his fitness professional, which is what I really recommend he do, because his fitness professional, who I know well, certainly is much more knowledgeable with the stuff than I am. But anyways, our last exchange, the last thing that he said to me was, being disciplined with no results blows, to which I responded, it's part of the old process. And, when I was thinking back at this conversation, like I was thinking about him, like with all this data, all these charts, all this information at his fingertips, he's on the inside looking out of the situation. So he's plugging away. He's basically eating the same stuff for, every day, more or less. He's tracking his macronutrients very meticulously. He's tracking his exercise, how many steps he's getting a day. I mean, he has all of the data, like an impressive amount of data in front of him. But he's living on this plateau. He's stuck and he's getting frustrated. He's on the inside of the situation looking out. I'm on the outside looking in, and I was just, mesmerized by how much data he has and, how meticulous his record keeping is. And for me, I was like, wow, you have all of this information at your fingertips. You know exactly what you've been doing for the last, I'm not sure how long he's been doing this, probably for years. But at this level, maybe for 6 months, a year, I'm not exactly sure how long. But he's got so much data there that I was like, if you kind of you have all this information, if you manipulate this a little bit, just, change one variable, like maybe, decrease your carbs a little bit, increase your fat a little bit, or, maybe just increase your calories from 13 calories a pound to 15 calories a pound so you can really fuel more muscle growth, which in turn will hopefully stimulate your metabolism a bit and help you burn more fat. Little things that I, saw in the data. That I recommended to him. But it had me thinking, this is a guy who obviously believes in the process. He's tracking everything meticulously, but he's getting frustrated with the process because he has been very disciplined, not seeing change, and that quote unquote blows, which I get. But what I was reminded of was the phrase that, the darkest hour is just before dawn. Like, he's literally at the precipice of making some tremendous breakthrough in his physique. He just probably has to tweak one little thing in all of this data that he's been accumulating, all the things that he's tracking on his fitness journey. Just seems like, maybe just one little tweak, and in 4 to 6 weeks, he may see a dramatic shift and much more progress towards his goal. And the darkest hour actually is not just before dawn. By the way, I did Google that to look it up because I was curious. But I do love that phrase. Like just when you're at the cusp of breaking through, a lot of folks will give up. There's this old meme that where someone's like digging for gold and they're like just about to get there, but they give up when there's like an inch of soil left before they hit all that gold. It's just so true in all aspects of life. And, I'm very confident that my friend will make a tweak and he'll just get set back on the right path. But the mindset that he has, I just love. He's really, he has a goal. He's been working at it. He's kind of stifled, living on this plateau. And he's like really just exhausting all of his resources to see, hey, how can I get off of this plateau? And that really is what the path to success is in everything. You kind of like have this, ascent, and then you're on this plateau, and then you may like drop down a little bit, then you kind of raise back up, and then you hit another plateau. Then you have to make more tweaks, look at all the data, make adjustments, make more tweaks, and then, you kind of can get off of that plateau and elevate a little bit. That's just the story of life. No one's path is like straight up, There's always like, up, a little down, a little plateau, a little up, a little plateau, maybe up from there, maybe a little down and then up. That's just, when you look at this, the progress over the course of a very long period, it'll look more like it's just an ascent up. But when you really kind of like dive in, zoom in on like, a year period or a several month period, you may see it actually dropping down, rather than rising up. But it's all part of the old process. Like I always say, you have to trust and embrace the process. Once you have it's impressive how much data he has. When you're tracking your data and you have all that in front of you, it's very easy to manipulate that and make a change because you know exactly what you're changing. There's not like 5 moving parts. He can literally make, everything's been static. He can make one adjustment, just change one of the parts, move it in one direction, up or down, and give it a few weeks and see what happens. See if that's what moves the needle for him. Just as like a total side note, like, one of the things that I've learned in my fitness journey is the only thing that matters is how much muscle you have on your body. Muscle is the engine of your body. It really is what enables you to metabolize your food better. Your baseline metabolic rate is higher. You just burn more calories at rest. And, so for me, it's, I used to track all my data in very much the same way. But now really my data, I weigh myself every morning so I know what I'm weighing. I actually start to stress out and panic when my weight goes down. I like to either stay the same, or right now I'm trying to put on some more mass, so I like the scale to move up. And the second, piece of data that I use is what I look like with my shirt off. So as long as I'm getting more muscle mass and, not looking flabbier, just maintaining some level of definition, then I know I'm moving in the right direction. So I know I'm like putting on muscle and not putting on fat. So anyway, and whatever works, like that's what really is the simplest and what works the best for me. It's something I check in every day. I weigh myself every morning while I'm brushing my teeth. I just do like a physique check while I'm working out, or after I get out of the shower, whatever the case may be. And depending on what my goal is, if I'm bulking, which I'm doing now, I just want to make sure that, I'm doing that appropriately. The scale is moving in the right direction. Or if I'm cutting, the same thing, like the scale is moving down and I'm also not losing muscle mass. Again, muscle is the key thing that I want to maintain and also, develop more of, because the more you have, just the more efficiently your body works. It's actually, I was explaining to my friend that, I actually got up, I'm about like 210-ish now. But in my last bulk, I actually got up to 226, and it's massive. I mean, for me, I was, the biggest I've ever been. But once I stopped, I had a lot of muscle mass on me too when I was that big. But as soon as I cut my calories down, like literally within a matter of like a month, I went from like 226 to like 206, and then soon after that to 196. Because I had so much muscle on my body was working so efficiently, just manipulating my calories really made such a huge change in my body composition. So, again, I don't know if that's what's going to work for my friend or what's going to work for anyone else out there, but for me, that's kind of what I've realized on my fitness journey. The key is maintaining your muscle mass with resistance training and then just manipulating calories. And I'm very much like my friend. I eat the same stuff every day. Like Monday and Wednesday I have the same meals. Tuesday and Thursday I essentially have the same meals. And Friday I have the same meal. And on the weekends I'll kind of like have the same lunch every day. But, when I'm with my family, I give myself a little bit more flexibility. But all of us, it really, the key is accumulating data and then, just seeing how your body reacts to it and then manipulating it a bit. And if anyone is going to be successful in doing this, it's going to be my buddy who I was texting with, because he's got lots of data at his fingertips. So with that, I hope you all have a wonderful, restful weekend. Some of you I know probably have a long weekend coming up with President's Day next week. So I hope you enjoy that, rest and recharge. Are just ready to crush the week ahead. Remember, setting goals is all about setting a SMART goal: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely, and then setting up a process that allows you to get to that goal, and then trusting the process. When you feel like your process has led you to a plateau, then you make a tweak and adjust your process so you can maintain forward momentum. So with that, let's get it.